Hey everybody, Jim from Jim's Coleus. Here with the weekend already. I can't believe it. Great farmers market yesterday. We're winding down the end. I have maybe 1 week left of stock, and then I'll be concentrating on my eBay seed business, which starts in October. So I have a number of Coleus throughout my property. Many that are featured obviously on my videos here, and be harvesting seeds and seed stalks and seeds and separating them. So stay tuned here if you're interested in learning how to harvest your own Coleus seeds. I'll have plenty of videos upcoming on how I do that, or you can look through my long list of videos I've had previous years where I do that very thing and keep cuttings and so forth. And today I want to real quick, and this is what's really cool about Coleus. That's Bobo. Hey Bobo, say hi. Okay, he's got his things to do. What's cool about Coleus is if you break a stem, you can root that stem, that broken water, and after a few days, roots will start to show, and you can pot it and have a whole new plant. So I bet you didn't know that. No, you did. If you follow here, you know that. But if you're new to Coleus, maybe you didn't. And that's what's so exciting about Coleus, where you can just keep one large planter, such as this here, can yield dozens of plants, but just by cutting a stem and rooting it. So, but let me show you really what happened if it's accidental, which just happened to me. And I guess I'm going to be starting my rootings a little early this year. So let's take a look. Okay, so many of my larger planters were sold yesterday. Thank you, Trin, for making the trip from Pennsylvania and purchasing some of my larger planters. That was very, very kind of you. I'm very happy to have you as a subscriber here. It was great to meet you, and I believe your husband was Marcel. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, apologize. But I'm very, very happy to have met you, and that you took the trip. The hour-and-a-half drive was very humbling, and it was my pleasure to meet you. So anyway, so I was just watering some of these plants. It's warm. It's not hot. It's very humid, overcast. I think we're getting some rain today, but I came out here and I wanted to give them a little water because this was very dry from yesterday, and this Defiance I'm keeping for seeds. So, but I inadvertently broke a stem. I'm like, no, and to make matters worse, it's seeding. So I don't want to throw this out. So we're going to take this inside and root it. Put it in a bud vase or a couple of bud vases. Let's see what we can get from this. And this here, we got 1, 2, 3, like 4 good stems. So you can get 4 Defiance plants out of this broken stem, and you could do this with all your Coleus, not just Defiance. Okay, so here are all my bud vases, and I have some others. I have probably another dozen or so, and I keep these specifically for rootings, especially my Lord Voldemort Coleus that's almost, it refuses to yield any real good amount of seeds, and of those seeds that I do happen to harvest, only 1 or 2, if that, are mature at take. But that's, some Coleus are not prolific seeders. But anyway, here are my bud vases, and these will be filled with by September. And this is how I get started. At first by accident, and then later on, I choose the rootings that I want to keep. Here is, I actually forgot about this because I've been so busy. I took this fishnet rooting, same thing, it broke by accident, and I tossed it in here. And look at the root ball on this already. So I'm probably not going to pot this at this point. And fishnets have been a mainstay, I guess. They're so hardy. They make great rootings, and this will last until next spring, until the spring, where I'll just pot it. which is how the pot I have outside was from a rooting that I took last year. Actually, this season was the first season that I did not buy a live plug from Rosie Dawn, because they have beautiful fishnet plugs. But this is the first year I did not buy one, because I had a bunch of rootings, and I have another fishnet planter outside. It's not terribly large. Actually, I have two. But anyway, this is going to stay in here. I may move it to a different vase eventually, but it looks good. And fishnets just are year after year, and I've been rooting these for years. And this is basically a rooting from the mother plant from 5 or 6 years ago. So anyway, here it is. It's rooted, and that's what you can expect. Lots of roots. Yes, I can pot it right now. If I wanted to, I can get a little pot and pot it and keep it indoors and keep it as an indoor overwintered plant. It's yet to decide to do that. I don't keep too many overwintered, soiled, for better term, soiled pots. I keep mostly rootings, cuttings over the winter. So, all right, so let's go take a look and save those Defiance, that broken Defiance stem. Okay, so here we are. I just kind of chose, I figured maybe 4 stems. I have a bunch of Defiance plants, so I'm not really worried, but specifically because this has a seed stalk going, and I want to get some seeds from these Defiance. So yes, you can root a seed, a branch with a stalk, and it will continue to develop seeds. But I'm going to keep this outside, this stem here, so it can get pollinated. Yes, they will continue to grow, and it doesn't necessarily have to be pollinated. I can actually pollinate it myself if I want with a brush, but we're not going to get there. But anyway, let's take a look. Sort of choose. You know, this is it's already starting to wilt because it's been out of water. So I'm just going to really just cut a bunch right now just to get it in water. You want to cut the leaves. You don't want really leaves into the water. So really just going to start off by doing this. My main goal is to get the seed stalk, the stem with the seed stalk. That's a tongue twister, huh? Got some of these big leaves over here. We're not going to need these when we're rooting, so get rid of these. Doesn't really matter where you cut. You know, I mean, I try to cut as close to the stem, but you can see here. I'm going to cut this here, and let's see. You know what? This is pretty good here. So we're just going to get this going from here. Okay, same thing here. We don't need these. We don't need any leaves. You don't want leaves down into your water. Whoops. Okay, so that's it. You can root these. I usually keep about, I don't know, 4 Defiance. Over the past few years, I kept about 4 or 5 Defiance cuttings. And again, the number one, the best advice I can give anybody that's gonna keep rootings is frequent water changes. I know we're all busy. At least once a week if you can. If you have more time, you want to do it every 3 or 4 days or whatever. I mean, frequent water changes. You don't want to just let it sit. You want to change your water. All the debris, because debris falls out naturally. Any kind of leaves, over time you may lose. I can almost guarantee you'll lose a leaf here and there. It'll start to brown. And also keep your rootings in a bright location, not necessarily baking sun. I like these colored jars because they allow light to get in, and that further enhances the roots. I do have some bud vases are not clear, but I get these at the dollar store, and they're really nice decorative on my windows that I have in my living room. I have these little Anderson windows, and I have multicolored, and these are $1 each, multicolors. You can tell, you can see, and they're beautiful. They make great decorations, and I keep numerous rootings all year long. So, all right, so we're gonna keep this going. I think I might trim some of it, but it's pretty hardy, and we'll see what happens. And this will continue to develop seed stalks. It's actually already got 2 more coming in. This one's pretty aggressive. You can see 2 more coming out the sides. So I'm gonna let this grow. That's why I want to save it. Otherwise, I would just toss it in the garbage. At this point in August and so forth, although it's not, the season's not over by any stretch of the imagination, but as far as my farmer's market goes, I grow a certain amount of Coleus, and I sell 90% of them, but I do keep a lot for myself with seeds. And there's some that I will not bring for sale because they, for whatever, like this year, like my last video, with this scorching heat that we've had, really did a lot of my plants in. So there are some Coleus that I will not put up for sale because it just, to me, they don't represent what I believe is my best plants. So, but anyway, this is great for those of you who want to keep bud vases, have beautiful Coleus rootings all year long, all winter and spring, and it's or you want to create new plants if you want to make a few plants. Now, this is kind of leggy, so if I were intent on putting this into a pot, depending on the pot I'm going to put it in, I would cut this a little further up and not have such a long stem. But because it's in these long bud vases, I keep the stem long. But again, if I were cutting these specifically to put into pots, then I would definitely cut a shorter stem. This has to go, and then let it root. And once it roots, I put it into the soil. Make sure you use a good quality Miracle-Gro potting soil. And also, you don't necessarily have to root Coleus stems in water before you plant them. You can actually place this stem into a pot of moist soil, but the soil has to be moist and it will root. And you don't really need root hormone either. They sell root hormone. I don't use it. I don't think it's necessary because Coleus roots so easily. You don't really need root hormone to jumpstart it. So it's sort of a waste of money. I don't use it. So you don't have to go through this if you don't want. This is really a decorative thing with me. But this will start to show roots in about 4 days. And then again, if you want to pot it, then you can pot it with the roots, and it might show a little stress at the beginning, but it'll bounce right back and you'll have another plant. So gotta love Coleus. Okay, so back inside, here we go. This is that bright bay window that I have that I often boast about. So here we are. We got our bud vases, and I love the color. This bright window really brings out that color, and these will last all fall and winter until next spring. I may lose 1 or 2. It's possible that happens. I have bud vases of all different sizes, but in general, my cuttings last all, through the fall, winter, into spring, until next year. So, okay, the gang is here. They're all happy. They are all happy because the rootings are up. And this is earlier than I expected. It all depends on accidents, happy accidents, as Bob Ross used to say. I don't necessarily start my cuttings this early, as I mentioned, but you know what? This seed stalk made up my mind, and I cut, as you can see, I cut a few. What do you think, Stan?
Let's go watch cartoons.
No. We're not going to watch cartoons. We got Coleus to take care of. Okay, so, and you guys, you're not going to say anything because sometimes you guys can be a little bit obnoxious. So I got my gang here watching, and here we go. So I am going to put this outside. Not today because you can see we got a storm rolling in, but we'll eventually put this outside and let the insects pollinate. And we'll collect the seeds, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that, and it's a practical video on keeping rootings. Now, you know, I mentioned how this year was just completely, to me, it was a wash. It started out badly. The weather, the spring was very, very late. It just wasn't a good year. And this is that planter. I mean, they're different plants, but they're from the same seeds. And this, by last year, was this size. And look at it, it just stalled. It's vibrant. There's nothing wrong with it. It just stalled from that terrible heat. It was just, the heat was just non-stop. And you can see I got some leaf drop here. But, you know, that's, I can't do much about it. I trimmed it. I'll keep it going. Perhaps the rest of August it'll grow a little more. But this is really indicative of the rest of most of my Coleus in general are half the size that they were last year and other years. So it's been a tough summer. So if you're having problems with your Coleus too, you're in the same boat, fear not. It's happened to the best of us. And we just use this as a learning experience and hope for a better summer next year. But we're still having fun. They're still beautiful. They're just smaller. That's all. And here comes the rain. Okay, so I hope you know this isn't doing too badly. So this is, like I said, it's very humid out today. But this isn't doing too badly. It's still not as good. Again, over the 10, 12 years I've been doing this year overall, all of my plants are subpar, from what they used to, what I've had in the past. So again, can't really complain any more than I am. You can see the rain coming down. So, but I hope you enjoyed this video on cuttings, keeping rootings, and I'll do another one with more detail. But I think this is pretty clear. If you're interested in keeping cuttings and how to do it, and maybe you didn't know that Coleus, that you can cut roots, cut stems and root them into cuttings, or cuttings into rootings. Somebody said they're not cuttings, they're rootings, or someone said they were rootings, not cuttings. I forget which is which. But anyway, it's a fabulous thing about Coleus. You can just cut stems and make new plants. So I hope you enjoyed this. Stay tuned, more to come this summer. Thanks for watching Jim's Holiest of Coleus, and thanks for my subscribers. And Trin, thank you again for stopping by Bayhead, making the trip from Pennsylvania. Really appreciate it. It's going to a good cause. I just started my fund drive on Instagram for the Morris Animal Foundation, which is a good animal foundation that cures animal cancer. It was founded by Betty White, the actress, the late Betty White. So I know it's a good organization, and I'm happy to make donations to them throughout the year. So head over to Instagram if you want to make a donation. If not, just by watching my YouTube channel, you're making a donation and you don't even know it. So, all right, so thanks for watching Jim's Holiest of Coleus, and stay tuned. Of course, we're going to have more. It's just going to be smaller, that's all. Smaller Coleus, but fun nonetheless. Take care, everyone.